Our relationship is over.
Our relationship is what? Over.
Hello YouTube, welcome back to another AlphaStar cast. Someone in the last video requested we find some AlphaStar's Protoss, and I am happy to oblige. So, to kick things off here in the bottom left side of the map, playing at Grandmaster MMR, we have the Red Protoss, AlphaStar. And of course, the oh-so-human and unsuspecting victim or opponent to the top right, the blue Terran, a
Grandmaster player.
Now, I get these questions pretty frequently, so just to remind everybody that, well, first off, this is going to be a bit of a cheesy game as there's a proxy barracks placed on the other side of the map, but our human players didn't know that this was AlphaStar at the time. I know the names look different now, but this is because the Deepmind team went in and edited the names and took out the chat. When this was live on the ladder, you had no idea if you were playing as AlphaStar. AlphaStar appeared as a barcode. AlphaStar would even go as far as to say good luck, have fun, and GG's at the end of the games. So you really had no clue this was AlphaStar until much after the fact. But okay, so pretty much most of these AlphaStar games, the most interesting aspect to it I have found is a lot of people like to cheese AlphaStar. Whether they're short 6-minute games, which by the way I hope this one isn't, or whether they're really long games that macro out of it, like the last video I cast. It's been interesting watching AlphaStar take an approach to this, because I think with humans on the ladder, it is a lot more one and done. There's not really a follow-up a lot of the time, but with AlphaStar games, whether it's AlphaStar coming out ahead or the human player, there do seem to be like actual follow-ups to this, which I find interesting, and I wonder if that's cause and effect of AlphaStar or just the result of players. One thing's for certain though, AlphaStar has had really good macro games, and if your macro is solid enough in Starcraft 2, it can carry any amount of bad micro. Now obviously it's a little bit paranoid here, as AlphaStar actually made this weird zealot, but it's not anticipating this. The big thing was that probe scouting on the other side of the field. Sometimes in Starcraft 2, it's not about what you see, it's sometimes about what you don't see. When that probe got across the map, there was no barracks to be seen, so it was immediately apparent to anyone, including AlphaStar, that there was some kind of proxy play afoot. That's why the zealot was made. It's weird that was brought to the natural base, but of course it, I guess, couldn't predict where the Reaper was going to come from, so just kind of lost the coin flip in that regard. But with the depths starting to spawn now, this should start stabilizing. Although with 2 Reapers now uncontested, this could be a lot of kills. This Reaper gets caught by the probes, allowing that adept to get the second shot in and finish it off. That's really nice. Giving chase to this Reaper is going to push outside the cliff. In the meantime, we haven't had that probe set up anything funny, but I was curious about where the Zealot went through all of this. The Zealot's actually come back home. I thought this was the Zealot out on the minimap, because a very common thing to do is, well, you can't really use the Zealot for the next 8 minutes or so. So what you'll do is you send it across the map and you'll kill the SCV people in the command center. But our human player kind of anticipated this happening, and they built their command center up on the high ground where it would be much safer to lift up and move over later. Some continued Reaper headache over here. Again, this should be resolved here soon. Funny enough, this has done enough to really disrupt AlphaStar in terms of just getting away with playing greedy. As if you've seen any of these games, you're pretty aware AlphaStar likes to make a lot of probes, well, a lot of workers, and get a lot of money flowing. But our human, in this case, our unknown Grandmaster, doesn't want to let this go by too easily. And what they're researching right now are these really heavy harassment-oriented units. With Cyclones, for example, with Magfield Accelerator, that's this little orange rocket upgrade. These things do a tremendous amount of damage to armored. They do a lot of damage against non-armored, but they do a tremendous amount of damage to armored once this research is complete. 800 damage over 14 seconds. And of course, they can move and shoot with that lock-on. It's not going to have that big of a bearing against the depths, but as I had mentioned previously, even the non-bonus damage is still pretty good. So grab a lock-on, enjoy a kill. I gotta just keep vision of the dang thing, which, by the way, that Viking's going to assist with. The Viking's a little bit of a weird choice in this case, actually. He's got 2 of them. The Vikings are very clearly an anti-air type unit, but landed on the ground, they can get some serious damage done in harassment scenarios. As they deal 20 damage a shot to mechanical, they can 2-shot workers. So you fly one of those across the map, doesn't get seen, lands it right here, boom, that's a lot of workers killed. And that's really something that would disrupt the flow of AlphaStar, as again, its backbone tends to be its macro, which comes as a result of having lots of money, which, as you can see down here, has been the case for AlphaStar. Command center is finishing up now, though. That's going to be an extra mule. That'll help bridge the gap. A third CC starts up at the main base for our human. And as our Terran player moves out for the second attempt at harassment, this is a very strange combo. It looks like one Viking's been left at home, anticipating a possible warp prism from the Protoss, but it's not a warp prism from AlphaStar. And our human would know that if they had some better scouting. Unfortunately, there's kind of some blind counterplay happening, where he's trying to guess what the Protoss is doing. You flip the coin. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For AlphaStar, though, this was a pretty good hold on both sides. Pushes off the 2 Cyclones because as dangerous as they are fairly fragile with only 120 health. In fact, this guy getting out of there with 3 HP remaining. Oh my god. But the other one takes a bit more of a brave route home, and this is taking the scenic route to see if there's any pylons scattered around the map, so as not to get caught off guard by some warp prisms later. But this is Mech versus Protoss, and Mech versus Protoss is not very common. There are some games we're starting to see more pros do now, but for the most part, it's still pretty much just bioplay into airplay later on. You know, about Liberators and all that, but I can tell you guys a little bit cool secret behind the scenes info from my many talks with Blizzard over the years. I know that this may not be their design philosophy anymore. Don't know why I stumbled with that so hard. But at the time, they really wanted Mech to be a way to respond to Protoss, to be something really viable. And unfortunately, despite tailoring the game this way and the other, it's never really seemed to have achieved that goal. And I don't know what the goal is nowadays, but it is worth noting that you can get a very, very powerful yet fragile Terran army that can contest Protoss, because it comes down to big attacks and not lots of little trades like we're used to seeing with Marines and Medevacs. So I really do like Mech. I really do. It just doesn't, in this patch of the game, doesn't quite feel like it has its place figured out yet. But I don't want to naysay it too soon, because this could seriously be some big damage coming up. These Cyclones with those little red laser sights, that's the visual indicator for the upgrade I talked about earlier. They're dealing 800 damage a shot to armor units. So suddenly you can't really reliably go anything with an armored tag without expecting 3 or 4 of them to die, likely before the fight really even begins. Now the Vikings been left here to deal with the Phoenix. Unfortunately, not enough of them will not be quite a counter, but then with the Cyclones coming to help, this helps a bunch. Got SCVs trying to repair a little bit underneath the Vikings too. Big scan to catch these to the top right. AlphaStar would ideally have just either walked these out or recalled them home, but with all these Cyclones, all these Phoenix are now dead. This is really unfortunate because this amount of losses for AlphaStar on the surface, not that big in terms of supply, but really painful because of the type of supply that AlphaStar doesn't want to remake. Continuing to pump out Phoenixes is fine, but this is money better spent in things like Immortals or Colossus or Disruptors or just really another Robo even. So a bit of a waste, but these are absolutely necessary, because when it comes to that deadly lock-on ability I keep talking about with the Cyclones, you could break that. It is an ability that has a cooldown, and it's granted fairly short, but you can break the attack with picking it up with those Phoenix. Not to mention you can lift up the tanks and just crowd control them. I mean, Phoenix are really cool and very unique, not just because they can move and shoot, but they have some of the most interesting styles of crowd control in the game. Big damage can come out of it too, but talk about it more if we get to that point, because another Phoenix gets picked off here, and I think that's what, 6 that have gone down so far. A 4th base comes out of AlphaStar back on the other side of the field, and you'd see our Terran players start moving towards one too soon, I would imagine. But I do hope that production here picks up. Unfortunately, with Mech, your production tends to be a little all over the place because you don't have the money to build the facilities to just build unlimited units. Not to mention the whole tech lab reactor dynamic. But we got Blue Flame coming in on the Hellions. That's going to be big damage versus the Zealots and the Sentries. This army attack out of AlphaStar, though, makes no sense to me. A lot of the time when the AI is doing crazy stuff, I can at least kind of see where it's coming from. But this attack is so small and so fragile, it makes no sense, and it just leaves openings like this where Hellions run into the mineral line and they start firing up some of the probes. Luckily, thanks to the shield battery, the damage here is fairly minimal. But let's not forget, AlphaStar's on 4 bases. That's not... Losing 3 or 4 probes is nothing. But I am worried because this composition out of AlphaStar is not really that strong. I mean, when you consider what's countering what here. You got some Zealots to be a bit of meat in the front of the army, fine. They'll get blown up fairly quick. Then what's behind that? Colossus? 2 Colossus? A couple of Stalkers? I don't know. I'm not buying it, guys. Granted, there's not a lot of actual units for our Terran in this case either, but they're fighting on the defense. High ground advantage, missile turrets, siege tanks already sieged up. There's a lot of things going for our blue human in this case. Now we'll throw pokes in. Do these Stalkers even have Blink? These Stalkers don't even have Blink, but crowd controlling the tanks takes them out of the fight. The Thors, funny enough, are going to be pretty trash in dealing with most things here unless that Immortal goes down. If that Immortal dies, there's a lot of power in 3 Thors. But between AlphaStar's assessment and our human, they've both decided it's best to disengage. I don't think this is a terrible choice, but again, for AlphaStar, these attacks aren't making a lot of sense. Trading out for army is fine versus mech. Like with bio, it feels fruitless. But this isn't really threatening our Blue Terran's economy. In fact, they're still expanding on location, no fear. Same with AlphaStar, of course. These supply depots look a little funny, but they're just kind of here to cause some blockage. They're not really here to be supply depots. Maybe later on a wall type thing. But backing away, trying to get these shots off here on top of the Phoenix. I mean, this is tough. As tanks and liberators come out, the defensive position gets better and better for our human in this case. And we actually see them finding the freedom to slip some of these Hellions by. Once again, want to get some probe kills. And there's a lot here to kill. First couple shots aren't too bad, but with the Phoenix and quick response, these are dealt with pretty much immediately. Workers lost. Kind of low overall, but all... Ooh, 7s. You know what I love? There's been like no detection in this army, and I don't think our human has any way to realize that, but I would love to have seen more Widow Mines cheese this up. Like this one Widow Mine hasn't been detected all freaking game. Chasing a little bit too far with the Vikings. It's a shame there's no blink, and it's actually fascinating to me how raw AlphaStar's playing right now. I don't mean this in some kind of really cool way. I mean this quite literally. There's no tech upgrades for AlphaStar. You know, +1's on the way, some charge to help out a little bit, sure, but the investment in Stalkers this game, in fact, oh my god, these have killed so many probes, by the way. Remember that's 21-7, like literally seconds ago, and then it doubled to 43? But anyways, with the amount of Stalkers invested in this game, I'm surprised Blink wasn't a bigger priority. AlphaStar still, by the way, expanding as if they're Zerg, even taking a quote-unquote ninja base at the top left. Fascinating playstyle. I do worry that there's not a lot of good anti-air here. Liberators should be dealt with, I think, fairly easily. Oh my god, continuing to run by with these blue flame Hellions. Yes! Liberator, yes! Free those probes from this mortal coil! Oh my goodness, 51 probes dead. I mean, AlphaStar still holding pretty firm at 71, 74. Protection's not a problem here, 5 probes at a time, but that is money taken away from the army. But as cool as these moves have been, and as often as this seems to draw AlphaStar back home, we do need to note that our Terran player is pretty far behind in supply. I guess as far as upgrades go, +2's done, and that's cool. It makes the tanks shoot for 80 a shot. I think the bigger advantage, though, would be some... Well, I guess the investment helps the Hellions, too. But I was going to say, things like Liberators with upgrades can start 2-shotting Stalkers instead of taking 3 shots. Add that into the mix, and suddenly this whole front line just disappears. But this Phoenix count is kind of wild. 15 Phoenixes, like, actually going to destroy this Terran army if there weren't Thors here to back it up. Because the only thing those Phoenix can't lift up are the Thors. To pick up those siege tanks, as you can see, this was actually a pretty easy hold. A full recall initiated from this too, by the way. AlphaStar fully coming back home to deal with this Liberator. I would say more than a small overreaction, but oh god. Oh god, the probe count continues to fall. I mean, getting attacked in 3 different locations, 2 with Liberators, 1 with these Hellions. I mean, what's really depressing when you consider like how much damage has been done to the probe line, that AlphaStar still holds pretty firm. What is this Dark Shrine? Hello? It holds pretty firm in terms of overall worker count, but 81 probes have died this game. Here's the question, dear viewers: is that number gonna hit triple digits? Are we gonna see 100 dead probes before all is said and done? Now look, the Dark Shrine actually doesn't... I don't hate this in terms of why this is here. I believe for AlphaStar, anything, whether it's a forge, whether it's a Dark Shrine, something to go in here to limit the way the Hellions can move through and around the mineral lines. But man, between these Liberators around the whole army, look at how many Phoenix are chasing this. There's 18 Phoenix on 1 Liberator. This leaves this wide open for the Hellions. By the way, all these probes just transferred back to... Oh my god, we're gonna go... Come on, triple digits, triple digits. What do you think, guys? Triple digits? Triple digits! Exactly, 103. Oh my god. What a... I'm not... 103 times 50 minerals. Holy cow. So much money this game spent on probes. It's like a quarter of an army. Oh my god, these Phoenix stack up. And here's the thing. These Thors, they don't deal tons of damage, but they do have that splash. And the more clumped up these Phoenix are, the bigger the damage output potential for the Thors is. Blink's coming down at the 15-minute mark. Still feels like forever too late, but I really don't know how much role Stalkers are going to have left in this game. Between the massive amount of Thors on the ground and the tanks to support them, this isn't really a game where Stalkers and Blink are going to have much bearing. Everything here gets to fight at face value. And in fact, so done with these Phoenix lifting up all the tanks. There's a comical amount of missile turrets coming down. I mean, to be clear, this is a waste of money. But it is our Terran who has money to waste it. Oh my god, that Phoenix kill! What was this, 15 moments ago? Dear viewers, look, I don't oftentimes like to rewind in these replays, but we got to rewind in that replay, and we got to watch just how bad this went. From 17 Phoenix to clumping up on top of the Thor shots. Oh my god! Well, that is a big problem for AlphaStar, because keep in mind, this Phoenix, which was still being double pumped behind this, these Phoenix are meant to be fairly uneasy to kill, and then more to the point, they get the crowd control. That's not happening here with this amount of Thors. I mean, this amount of Thors, nobody makes this many Thors. Frankly, just because you just go Immortal Zealot and counter them, but that's not what the AlphaStar is doing. AlphaStar is playing like the worst playstyle possible. The Colossus, with Phoenix, with Stalkers, like this is actually the worst set of units you could have to deal with what our blue Terran's gone for. So don't get too excited there, dear real humans. Mass Thors looks fun and it looks good, but it's not. There's a lot of ways to counter this, and AlphaStar's just playing very poorly around it. I mean, even a Disruptor shot's better than the entire army of Blink Stalkers that we're seeing. And by the way, is that Disruptor even going to get a shot? Probably not. Eye on the ball. Oh god, this is getting so bad. Even +2 weapons. I mean, you don't need armor upgrades versus Mech. It's a lot more important versus Bio. Small hits really fast. With Mech, everything here is chunks, right? These siege tanks shoot for 85 a shot versus armor. These Thors are pumping in there. 39 damage times 2 every time they attack. It's just a lot of damage to deal with, and unfortunately, no amount of armor would help with that. So I don't even contest AlphaStar's upgrades. It really does for me. This game comes in and AlphaStar not handling harassment very well, especially when it's coming in like 4 or 5 waves at a time. But furthermore, it's just the type is the wrong response to this, and I don't actually blame our AI for this, because Mech is so classically not good. Not a lot of players play it. I would imagine AlphaStar, through thousands of artificial years playing against itself, would even find that Mech is no good, thus not practice with it, thus would have no experience playing against it. I'm saying with a question mark, but whatever the story is with this agent, whatever the story is with this version of AlphaStar, Mech is working, Mech is winning, and I don't know who our Terran is in this instance. I would love to attribute this to somebody like Euthermal. I do know Euthermal did play against AlphaStar at some point, but I never got that replay for real. But whoever it is that's playing this game out, as unconventional as the style is for Terran, it has worked fantastically in this instance. AlphaStar, of course, has some hidden bases set up, sure, whatever. But without anything to fight back, it's not going to matter. Total probe kill count, by the way, we were talking about triple digits. This has got to be a record-setting game of 181 probes killed. I have cast games of Starcraft where we go like 130 drones, 150 drones. You know, Zerg players just have a lot of workers to give away a lot of the time. I don't know if I've ever seen 182 probes killed in a single game. In fact, this may be my very first time. There's not even that many probes left to actually kill at this point. He could, oh my god, he might get the 200. He might get the 200! There's only 6. He only needs to get 6 out of the remaining 7. Come on, AlphaStar, don't you dare tap out. If this game gets denied, the 200 probes killed. Yes! There it is! 200! Subscribe to the channel. No, it's just 200 probes killed. Fantastic. 201 precisely. No more to be made. AlphaStar just biding its time here until it finally taps out and realizes it doesn't have a chance in hell. That Stalker was its last unit. GG's get called, and congratulations to our humans for succeeding over the machine. I hope you guys liked this video, and show me by hitting like on the video. Subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment. I'll see you guys on the next one.